and welcome back to another video. My name is Funny, and in this video we're going to talk about the 5 best things about being a book nerd. I came up with this idea about a week ago, and I just sat down and thought about like the 5 best things about being a book nerd. And you might think some of these stuff are cheesy, but they are really true. And let's just get started with this video. So I have the 5 best things about being a book nerd here on my computer, and let's just start. Okay, the first thing, the first best thing about being a book nerd is that your vocabulary expands so much. And I know you might be like, yeah, that was boring, like I've heard that 1,000 times, but I honestly, it's so amazing how much it expands. Like, I've read for a long time, I don't even think about it that much anymore, but like a year ago I really started reading books on English, or a little more than a year ago, something around that, and it's so sick how much my English vocabulary have expanded. Like, it's so amazing in English class when I sit down and write stuff and I just know the words and I know how to put the sentences, and when someone comes and asks me like, how do I write this, or is this right, you know, I know what is right and what is wrong. And when sometimes someone asks the teacher like, what is the name for this in English, and she's like and has to think, you know, for a while, and I'm just there like, I know it, I know what it is, I like, it's so fantastic, I love it so much. And it's just like, whenever I sit down and write stuff, I know how to spell, and it's just, it makes life so much easier. You don't understand. Though I've learned for the past time that I am better at English than at Swedish sometimes, which is my native language, so it's kind of weird. I don't really know how that happened, but it's so fantastic. The second best thing about being a book nerd is that when you read so many different stories and books, you get to follow a lot of different people. A lot of people who are just like you, and a lot of people who are way far away from you, or like don't think in the same areas. And you just get to follow all of these perspectives, and I've noticed how much better I've become at understanding people. Like, I understand much more how people think, and I saw on the site as well that it said that people who read are much more, like, not kind, but you know, like, you feel with people a lot more, and I've noticed that a lot. Like, I understand how they think, even though, like, I don't feel the same, and it's just really nice to like notice when someone is like a character in a book you read, and you try to like answer as you may have thought the characters in the book would have liked you to answer, and it works. And it's just, I just learned so much about people in this world from all the books I read. The third best thing is that I can sit in my chair and read, and I get to travel to so many faraway places. And this is cheesy, I know, but it's so fun. Like, I often feel like I have a very boring life, but when I sit down and read, I just get carried along to somewhere else where stuff happens. And I mean, it's just so fun when you feel like you have a boring life and you just can follow along with people who don't have boring lives. So it's very fun, and it's very good when you just want to get away from everything, when you just want to close out the annoying stuff that happens in your real life, and you just sit down and read, and everything else just disappear except for the book. And yeah, it's so good. The fourth best thing is that you remember stuff much more. I have noticed this, and it is a scientific fact, but not only you remember stuff better, but you train it every time. You know, every time you read a chapter, you put away the book, then the next day you pick up the book again. You are working with your memory to remember stuff like, yeah, what happened in the previous chapter and stuff like that. And I haven't really thought about that until I saw this on the internet, but they have done a test, and I think it was like 37% or something that in the brain that like had better memory than people who haven't read books in their lives. And I mean, that is very cool. I've never thought about that, but we're down to the 5th best thing about being a book nerd, and this is the absolute best thing about being a book nerd from my perspective. Like, it's so good, and it is that every time I sit and read a book, or you know, in general, when you have a book with you, people think you are so smart, even though you are not. And it's so funny because like I can sit and read fantasy books that have nothing to do with smart stuff or the real world and just like nothing at all, but people still think I'm so smart just because I read a book. I used to love it that people think I'm very smart just because I read like Harry Potter, who really doesn't have anything to do with the real world. I mean, when I sit there, people think that, yeah, she's a Hermione Granger who sits there and reads. Or, well, they maybe don't think Hermione Granger because they don't know who she is, because they haven't read, probably. But, you know, they think I'm a smart person, which I ain't. So, it's just funny that people think I'm smart just because I have a book, which is not the case at all. So yeah, that was all for this video. This is absolutely the 5 best things about being a book nerd, and I mean, there are other amazing things about being a book nerd. Comment down below what you think is the best thing about being a book nerd. Please do that, I want to know. But that was all for this video. I hope you liked it, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye!